We're back with James Jao. Today, we're going to know more about his vision and future plans in the world of architecture. One of the things that you're known for, and it's your signature, I believe, is to design iconic lifestyle villas. What is one of your favorite projects when it comes to that?
The most significant villa that I have designed is the Kite House. Because I think that's the most publicized project that I have done. And it's a 3,800 square meter floor area, 4 levels, overlooking the golf course of the Alta Vista residential estates. And of course, you can see the waterfront of Cebu from there. So it is celebrated, and at the same time, it is meaningful to me because that's where I landed on the front page of Blueprint magazine, front cover.
That is a pretty sizable villa.
Indeed, and it's designed for a couple. They are in the retirement age, but then the husband is based in the Netherlands, and the wife is a Filipino, also from Cebu. How I met them? Because the wife, Pamela, is a good friend of my cousin who is based in the Netherlands, and they play together mahjong. So this is how I get the connection, is through family connections. But then there's a very good story about this, Philip. When they were planning to build this house. So we built already the first house and finished in 2007. But then they felt that 2,000 square meter house is not enough for them because they don't have a garden and a pool.
Really?
So they bought the property nearby to make sure that nobody will build in front of them to block the view of the city. So eventually, they called on me and decided to put up this house. So they gave me a peg of what they want. They want a resort look, like a Balinese with a high-pitched roof. And so I went back to my office, made my drawings, and when they came back from the Netherlands, back to Cebu, I presented to them 2 options. Because at first, when I was doing the schemes, drawing the high-pitched Balinese roof will block the view of the existing house.
Okay.
And looking at the design of a pitch roof compared to the parabolic roof of the existing house, it doesn't blend well. So I prepared my own version, which is a slightly curved roof. And I presented to them both schemes. First, the way they wish it, which is the Balinese design, and next, my new scheme. And guess what happened?
Yes, please tell us.
The wife wanted my own design.
Okay.
Compared to what they wished for in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, we have to come to a vote. The husband, the wife, and me.
Okay.
Of course, 2:1. So the wife and me decided on that curved modern roof. And then the husband, of course, originally, who wanted the Balinese, and of course, gave way for the curved roof. But beyond that, when we were building the house already, after we finished the schematics, so I'm sharing this so that other architects would know the process, because sometimes what you design can be built or not.
Exactly.
So when we came up with the costing for the structural of this 3,800 square meter house, it came out to be like 50 million pesos for the structure itself.
Wow.
And then they said, we'll talk this over. So a few days after, we met again, and the wife shared to me how the conversation went between her and the husband. And here it goes. Jerry, the husband, Pamela said, Jerry, if you love me, you will build this house. So that's how it was built. So
he must indeed be truly in love.
I guess it's the love that brought this house to life. So,
and I reckon
that's the story.
And I reckon it was also your design that really convinced them.
I never thought of that. Yes, because it's something different, and I never thought it to be celebrate. I just designed it the way my heart felt for the project. So that's how it goes. If you put your passion into the design, I think the best of you comes out.
And I suppose you were able to fulfill the objective of trying to work with the topography and maintaining that beautiful vantage point of seeing the view.
I would say it's the morphology.
Okay.
The house in relation to the existing house and the environment. Morphology in the sense, yes, because if we build that high pitch roof, it will cover and block the view of the existing
neighboring
house.
Oh, okay, existing house.
So it defeats the purpose. So it's not flat, but it's like slightly curved. At the same time, the existing house, master's bedroom, we still have the view of the ocean.
Amazing.
So aesthetically and the functionality is there, and they were satisfied up to the finished product.
I suppose any of your clients would certainly be happy with that kind of a design.
Yes.
Harmonious with the nature and still retaining that beautiful view that they have.
Indeed. And the client who is willing to accept my aesthetics, and at the same time who is willing to spend for the project. That's important thing as well.
James, you're the proponent of the Eco House, which landed on the front page of the Philippine Daily Inquirer. Can you tell us more about it?
On September 18, 2008, that morning, I was surprised when I woke up. I had lots of text messages and even phone calls because people were telling me, you're on the front page. Never did I realize as an architect that a small project of 128 square meters, prototype of the first eco house in the Philippines, will be featured on the front page of the Philippine Daily Inquirer. But how did the story went? Of course, the organizers of the Cebu Construction Show met with me on that year, 2013, and asked me, what can I suggest? Because they are launching the Manila Construction Show September of that year, 2013. And I said to them, let's feature an eco house on the exhibition floor.
Okay.
Okay? That word eco house way back then is never heard. So they asked, what is that? So I have to explain to them. An eco house is a house that is built using materials with less carbon footprint and consuming less energy. Next question, where do we get the materials? And I said to them, I just came out from your Cebu Construction Show, and there are materials that can be used to make this eco house. Next question, where do we put this? Inside the exhibition hall? And I said, if we put that prototype in the exhibition hall, it will not be subject to the actual temperature and the actual weather conditions of the Philippines. So let's build it outside the exhibition hall.
Okay.
So after all this planning, come September, the first prototype was built right at the parking lot of the SMX across Mall of Asia. So they have the main exhibition happening inside SMX, but I have the prototype built right outside the parking lot.
Which became a part of the whole exhibition.
Exactly. So people would come to that house, look at it, and what is this? They would ask. And we have to explain to them that this is the eco house with these features. And of course, they would go and enter into the exhibition hall to learn more about the materials that were used from the prototype, and they can see inside exhibition halls. So
fantastic.
The SM management were very happy that they even extended us for 3 more days with that prototype outside the parking lot, because they even invited some of their employees to come and see the prototype house. So thereafter, in 2009, I built the first eco house in the Philippines in Bulusan. That's the first model. In Bulusan, why? Because the first recipient was a good friend of mine from Bulusan, Sorsogon. And you know, Bulusan is in Bicol region. Bicol region is known for being hit by typhoons, and Bulusan, of course, you know, Bulusan volcano is right there. And you know, it's an active volcano, and from time to time, it's subject to tremors and earthquakes. So all the aspects of forthcoming disaster, and whether natural, whether it's earthquake or hurricane or typhoon, so that house will be subjected to this kind of catastrophe. Even my friend who is the recipient of that house were asking, matibay ba yan? Can it withstand bagyo? Can it withstand lindol? And I said yes. And that was 2009. A year after the exhibition, we built the first eco house. Moving forward, how many years from now? It's still there. So all the answers way back then have been answered. It can survive earthquake. It can withstand hurricanes.
Was it ever tested with a major typhoon that happened after that?
Oh yes, there were several typhoons that hit Bicol region since then. It's still there now.
And still withstood
Yes, it
all
withstood.
of those typhoon
And you know,
calamities.
Bulusan volcano has been very active lately. The tremors happen every now and then. It's still there.
Amazing.
So moving forward, beyond that, now I have the prototype of the disaster resilient eco house.
So James, can you elaborate on the technologies and design of your eco house?
I have made several eco houses since 2009. And Philip, one of the prototypes that I have made for that I considered disaster resilient is the Diamond Eco House. I have said in my earlier podcast that the Diamond House was inspired by the Kalinga House from the north of the Philippines. And that particular house from Kalinga was built with an octagonal shape, like a diamond shape footprint or floor plan. And all the four corners of the walls are tapered. And of course, the roof followed, the high-pitched roof followed the configuration of the walls. So having this featured, the tapered walls serve as the aerodynamics of the structure. So it diminishes the wind force that is hitting the house. And having a high-pitched roof will deflect the wind from destroying the roof structure of that house.
And the archetype you're talking about are in Batanes,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It's one of the most hard-hit regions of our country when it comes to these different typhoons and strong winds.
Yeah, we always learn from the past. So I would say to the young architects, yeah, it's nice to look into the modernity, but sometimes we learn from the past because I'm sure that our ancestors have learned how to survive with all these hurricanes, typhoon, and earthquakes that have, you know, came into their existence.
Right.
So yeah, so the way I designed this Diamond Eco House compared to the one in Batanes is two-story.
Okay.
Okay, two-story why? A typical Filipino house, there's always what you call the silong, or underneath you have a place for livelihood, especially if you're in agricultural land. That's where your araro, the gamit for the farming, sometimes even your animals like chickens or sometimes livestock, you let them stay underneath. And then the dwelling is on the second level. You always have the stairs. So the same thing here, two-story, which you can see in the model. The lower ground You have the grill works because it's permeable, so you can put all your livelihood there. Now, in modern times, that can be used for putting your tricycle, your e-bike, or even your multi-cab. In the rural areas, they always have that as mode of transport. And you go up the stairs on the second floor, you have a little balconaje where, people, Asians or Filipinos, leave their slippers or their shoes at the
foot of the stairs.
At the foot of the stairs. And then, of course, they enter the room barefoot.
Yes.
But then you have a little sitting where you can relax and enjoy the breeze, and then have some plants by the railings. And then you enter the house. You have a small kitchenette, which I designed a feature similar to the banggera or the banggerahan. It's a very rural way of, where you keep your dishes.
Okay.
So, that's featured in the presentation of the Diamond House. And then there are 2 bedrooms where you have the living and the dining, the common area as well, and of course, 1 toilet. So the roof is designed to withstand typhoon and earthquake, and it's concrete thin shell roofing.
Which means?
Which means the common practice of building a typical vernacular modern Filipino house is using tin roofing or galvanized iron, which for me is very hot. And you cannot, it's so hard to sleep in high noon underneath the thin shell roofing.
Especially in a very humid,
exactly.
hot, tropical
But of
country.
course, having a concrete roof also have, you also have the heat. But of course, we can put some insulation just the same. But at the same time, in terms of disaster, it can withstand the typhoon and the earthquake. So another feature of this house also, you can see there are grills by the balcony on the stairs that is hinged to the bottom of the roof. So whenever there's flooding in the area, that same grill work can be used as ladder to go up to the stairs. Because what happened in Yolanda, a lot of people were trapped inside their houses because they cannot access the roof.
I see.
So having this kind of ladder by the side of the edge of the overhang, you can practically climb up to the roof, and of course that's where you can stay overnight until the help comes in to rescue you.
Fantastic.
And then lastly, the windows.
All right.
Particularly, I did not push for glass because again in Yolanda, a lot of injuries or even death happened when the glass windows
Shattered.
broke. It shattered, and hit the resident. And some, of course, were killed, some were injured, and some were hurt.
So what materials did you use to
So
prevent
I'm just
that?
using a fiber cement material that even if it gets damaged, it gets wet, it will not hurt you as much. And it can easily be replaced. And it was designed like a typical bahay kubo Filipino house in an owning manner that you can just open it and let the air flow into the house. So even the lower ground, you can see with the grill works, the water can go through, you can just lock it, bolt it, so even if your things inside can get wet and it can be like, tossed around by the force of the water, it will stay within that confinement of the walls. It will not be washed away, it will still be there.
That's really amazing that your design is based on the resilience and the adaptability of all of these projects.
It's a little bit more than a typical Filipino house, but I think it's doable because when I did a study for the funding of economic housing, I'm very particular with that. These are for income earners. They can afford to build this within the parameters of the current construction cost.
All right.
Okay.
So how can you make this happen for the benefit of the Filipinos?
I've been thinking of that because this prototype has been created way back in 2014, right after Yolanda. But you see, sometimes as visionary, I can say I'm far advanced of what's the existing reality, and it may take time for the Filipino community to adapt to this kind of paradigm. But I think, yes, I can make it happen. One, of course, through partnership with the government, maybe the housing agency, the LGU, and of course, with the help also with the private companies who are willing to invest, develop, and of course, do their CSR share in providing this kind of housing for the Filipino people. Because, you know, for a country to prosper, if we really want to achieve a sustainable future, the first thing that we must look into is a decent housing for every Filipino.
I hope more people, not just Filipinos, will see this video and to embrace the paradigm and support the vision and help make this a reality.